Hello, everybody. Frank Kenny here. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hello, Beth.
Hey, how are you, Frank? Hey, everybody. Hi.
So excited for today. This is a really important live because we're going to be talking to Beth about chamber mastermind groups. And they're probably not what you might have in mind of what a mastermind group is. And we're going to unpack what a mastermind group is and the different ways your chamber can bring in non-dues revenue through mastermind groups. And we're going to talk for a while here and really help you get kind of your mind wrapped around these things and answer your questions. Beth, could I get you to do a self-introduction, please?
Yeah. So I'm Beth Bridges, and I'm known as the networking motivator because I attended about 2,500 networking events over a 10-year span. And no, I wasn't the world's greatest chamber member. I was actually the membership director of my Chamber of Commerce, and it was a marketing and membership job. And it was one of those deals where you do the job interview, and at the end they ask you, do you have any questions for us? And I made a mistake in marketing job world, which is that I did not ask what kind of marketing budget they had, because right, yeah, so
Zero.
Yeah, right. So the chamber people out there are like, yes. So they would have had to have said, we just blew the whole thing on you. And so networking is what I had to work with, and building our networking program, and also going out myself, and just really ended up with the goal and achieving the goal of making our rather small, medium chamber a large chamber, and making us one of the absolute leaders in the entire Central California Valley for networking. And that was one of my huge goals, to make that happen for our chamber.
Awesome. For those of you watching, I'd love to know what chamber you're with, where you're watching it from, and what's your job title. Are you the membership and marketing person at your chamber? Are you the CEO? What are you? That'd be really helpful for me. So just put that into the comments. And if you have any questions for Beth as we go through this, we'll try to get those in front of Beth. Interesting that you came out of the chamber industry, Beth. It's like you've walked the talk. 2,500 networking events. How many a week was that? How often were you doing your networking?
It was 20 to 25 a month.
Golly.
Yes. And
so
it literally sometimes was breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh my goodness. I can see people are starting to bounce in. The Calaveras chamber, that's not too far north of you, is it?
No, it's not. That's
fantastic. So let's jump into this, Beth. Mastermind groups for chambers. The reason that you can talk about this is, again, you used to run a chamber of commerce. You're the networking person. You've written a book on networking. Can you talk a little bit about that before we really jump deep into the masterminds?
Yeah, well, so I ended up writing the book because at a certain point I realized that the level of networking that I was doing was not scalable. Just going to as many networking events as you could possibly go to was not sustainable, A, and B, it really, to a certain extent, wasn't a great example to set for my members. I had a member who joined and did everything himself too, and finally he was like, I'm exhausted, I can't do this. And I said, 10, you're not supposed to go to all the events. I have all these events that you can have your choice. And realized that just was not scalable without a strategy, right? Without a framework, without a plan. Most people just network by just going and doing a whole ton of it, and they don't have a plan, they don't have a strategy. And I thought, there's got to be a process here. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a framework, and that's how the book came out. Honestly, I was trying to find a better way for myself, and I thought, if I put in all this work, I'm going to share this with somebody. Starting with my members, and then a lot of other people.
Well, I can see a lot more people are bouncing in now. So Taryn, thanks for watching.
Hey, Madeline.
Yeah, Madeline, Madeline, Alameda, Rockwell Area Chamber, Sean, Miramar Park, that's probably Bob Golds, Angleton,
Hey,
all sorts of chambers from around the country want to know about how to bring in this non-dues revenue from masterminds, which let's just start at the top. when you use the word mastermind, what are you talking about?
Yeah. So what I mean by a mastermind group is a formal group of people, regular people who come together on a regular scheduled basis to accomplish one purpose. And that purpose, that goal is based on the group's choice or how you created that group, but there's a singular goal, a singular purpose, and it's a regular scheduled group of people coming together. That is a mastermind group.
Okay, so the word mastermind came from an old book. I forget all the history of it. You probably know at the tip of your tongue, but
Napoleon Hill. Yep.
Napoleon Hill, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. And he wrote a book on how to be successful in life. And he said one of the core things is you need a mastermind.
Yes.
And it sounds like you agree with that. What's your experience with masterminds?
Yes. I absolutely agree with that because, over the years, I came to the conclusion that I would not attempt anything new, difficult, complicated, or important without having a mastermind group around me to do it. And so I've created and joined half a dozen mastermind groups in the last 5-10 years. Well, probably more than that if you expand the definition a little bit. My book got written because of my mastermind group. The courses and programs that I have created over the last few years have come about because of a mastermind group. My speaking career, I actually created a group to help other people with their speaking growth. And even I have a national championship, an athletic championship that really, when you look at the group I trained with, that was a mastermind group too. We all came together to run faster and win awards. And that was
people watching this should know that Beth is an award-winning runner. And you have to check out her sales page, but you'd be amazed at Beth's running and her dedication to running and what she's done. Pretty amazing. You had a hell of a career, Beth, with your chamber. And then you left your chamber after being there for 10, 11 years, and you're the top networking person in the chamber industry because you've written the book. Now you speak at conferences. You're helping chambers with setting up different types of networking things. And one of them is these masterminds. Now, as a mastermind, a lot of people think it's a group coaching kind of thing. That's different, right?
Yeah. And so it's really important to be clear on the difference between master class, mastermind, and group coaching. And so it's an interesting little thing happening with the phrase master class. That's kind of evolved too, but now it's really kind of started out that people were doing webinars and Facebook didn't like the phrase webinars. So they started calling it a master class. But a master class is where you have an expert up here on high. This is the expert, and they're going to rain knowledge down upon the rest of you. And it's a one-to-many, and it's usually non-interactive. So a master class is just where you have someone who is providing training. It started out in the art world, actually. So it was, creative writing and art and intensive instruction. That was a master class. Group coaching is where you also have an expert up here and you have several people involved, and it's almost like serial public coaching. So the expert here coaches this person and the rest watch, and then the expert coaches this person over here and then the rest watch. And it still is that idea of the expert up here and the rest of all y'all here. And a mastermind, I'll give you one of the keys to a successful mastermind, is that you have almost equals or peers. It's really important that they be peers, and they're coaching each other, they're encouraging each other, they're teaching each other. If you have a mastermind group with one person who's really, really the expert way up here, and the rest are just kind of starting out, it'll end up being group coaching. like group coaching. And what happens is that one person feels taken advantage of, or that they don't get the value out of it that the rest of them are. So Mastermind is a meeting of equals or people who are on a very similar level, and it's peer-to-peer, it's cohorts, it's the same kind of group. Group coaching is where you have the expert, master class is where you have the expert raining down the knowledge upon the rest of them.
Okay. One of the people posted a comment saying, oh, Mastermind, sorry about that. Mastermind, that's going to be really intensive on me as this chamber CEO, time intensive and all this. And it would be if it was group coaching or if it was the master class, but this is not. This is, can you talk about, can a chamber that's really, really busy already and completely stretched add something like this without burdening them?
So there's a couple of ways to make this low input, right? Plan it out correctly in the first place, and plan all the details in the first place, have it all laid out, have all your contingencies and what ifs, and here's how it's going to be structured and laid out, and that structure, that framework will really, really help you so that when you launch it, and then you have a couple of choices. You could have somebody facilitate it, or you could let them run it themselves. Let the members run it themselves. Okay. And so most people, how much time does a mastermind take? It depends as well. That's another set of choices to make. Like I have one that meets weekly, and that would be intensive. Like Toastmasters, right? Toastmasters is really intensive. But it should not take a lot of time. That's why I really, really like this idea. It should be very scalable, and it should be something that you do not have to be hands-on all the time to make it happen.
Okay. Now I've heard you talk about unconscious masterminds.
Oh, yeah.
What's an unconscious one?
Yeah, so there are a number of different kinds of masterminds, and if you've never heard of an unconscious mastermind, that's because I've created that phrase myself. So you guys have heard that saying, your income is the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? You've heard that. You guys know about the research that has proven that? Yeah, there's none. There's none.
So in the comment area, have you seen the invisible research? No, it's like, so there is really, that's just, it sounds right. It sounds kind of clever, but it's not necessarily true.
Right. So because who's going to go to their 5 best friends and get them to tell them the truth about how much they actually make and then report that in? But there's been a ton of other research that proves that there are so many other things about your life that kind of are the average of, the 5 or 10 people you spend the most time with, like how fit you are. Do you smoke cigarettes? What do you eat? What's your diet like? What are your TV watching habits? All those things they've actually proven that, yeah, it's really close to the 5 or 6 people that you're closest to. And that's a mastermind group, right? It's a group of people you regularly spend time with and that you regularly interact with to achieve a similar goal, but it's unconscious. Nobody said, hey, let's all be friends. Let's all be friends, and let's all have the same dietary habits, or let's all binge watch the same amount of TV, or, let's all smoke cigarettes together. Nobody says that, but when you spend that much time with people, you're unconsciously letting that mind group influence you. And so that's really important to be aware of the people who are around you and how they're influencing you. And so a formal mastermind group, which is what I'm talking about, is a way to deliberately and intentionally make positive changes and positive influences in your life, as well as achieve specific goals. Like my running group was that way, right? So because we all had that same goal, we ended up influencing each other. We'd go out to breakfast. nothing like ordering breakfast with your coach sitting right across the table from you, man. Nobody's ordering the nobody's ordering the double stack of waffles, hungry man breakfast with your coach sitting right there looking right at you.
So it seems to me that chambers should be helping their members interact with other successful members. You're going to talk about their different ways to structure this, but just this activity of putting your members together with other successful members will help them combat maybe some of their other unconscious masterminds they have going on in their life. I mean, you could really dramatically help a member's life if you put them in touch with 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 other people that are successful. It seems to me. What do you think?
Yes, and to a certain extent, a chamber of commerce could be considered kind of an unconscious mastermind like that. You didn't tell your members come and hang out with other successful business people in order to help you be more successful, or maybe you do. Maybe that's part of why I would be part of a chamber of commerce, is because I want to be around these people. I want to be influenced by these kind of people. We talk about networking, and I love it when people are like, oh, I don't network, but what I do is build relationships with other people. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's networking, but I don't care what you call it, just do it. Because a mastermind group is a specialized form of networking, and chambers are already putting their members in that unconscious mastermind, right? They're already putting them in events and situations and kind of that general community of people who do want to be successful, who want to support the rest of their community, who want to, build the chamber, who want to build their business. Absolutely, it still works that way, and that's why I think it's important to be aware of an unconscious mastermind.
Interesting. Well, let's kind of unpack this a little bit more. You say there's multiple ways a chamber can offer a mastermind group, and some of these ways can make the chamber non-dues revenue. So can you kind of go through some of them?
So I want to give you a list. I call these there's tons of ways to have a mastermind group, right? We've already talked about some of them. Your running club's kind of a mastermind group. The friends you get together with every month and sit and, complain about, we all complain about politics. I don't care which side of politics you're on, the people you get together with. Even your group, the Chamber Professionals group really it's a very unstructured, informal kind of mastermind. It's very kind of a broad purpose mastermind. So those are all very beneficial, but they're not the specific kinds that I think are the most profitable. And I think there's maybe more, but there's at least 7 types of mastermind groups that I feel are absolutely the most profitable. And I'm gonna get my notes, you guys, just to make sure I don't
I'm taking notes too. I've actually thought about doing a mastermind, in this Facebook group, to where it's like the elite, the people that are, that are willing to put in some money, that are willing to put in some time to make a commitment to be in a small group and build each other up. And I don't see why a chamber wouldn't do the same thing with their members. And I know that you can make a lot of money with these mastermind groups. People pay $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 to be surrounded by uber successful people that can help them reach that level of success. So
yes, and they do put in a lot of time and effort and travel and spend money. And I'm only in 2 right now. One I kind of run, and the other one is a paid mastermind. I will always personally have at least one. And if I have a goal, like I said, if I have a goal or something I'm working on or something that's new, I'm going to have a mastermind group around it. All right, so the most profitable types of mastermind groups, and if you're taking notes, write these down, because these are your ideas of what kind of mastermind groups are you talking about. Athletic mastermind group is not on here. Track team, senior national competitive track team is not on this list. I spent way more money than I actually made. Although, the gold medals are, I don't know, they're not really gold.
That's cool.
All right, so a personal growth mastermind, a professional growth mastermind, and I'll go back and talk a little bit more about each one of these if you guys like. So personal growth, professional growth, business growth, and these are all different. A referral group is a mastermind, right? You guys, who's got a referral group in their Chamber of Commerce? I bet you did not think of it as a type of mastermind, but think about it. They get together on a regular basis with a structured program in order to achieve one goal, which is to give each other leads. I'd call that a mastermind group.
I was talking to the guy that runs the Great Falls, Montana chamber, and they run like 6 referral groups. It's a major source of income for them.
So. Nice. So they're actually implementing the mastermind concept. Yeah. Jamie Griffiths says they have 4 and she did not think of it that way. It's a group of people coming together to achieve that purpose of providing each other with leads. And so that's very profitable, right? If you're charging an additional fee, or it's only available to a particular tier, that's profitable.
Yeah.
And then there's the project-based mastermind. And that's what I used to write my book. I mean, you can call it a writer's group, but we were meeting on a regular basis in order to achieve one goal, which was to finish writing our books. Now look, you guys, some of this stuff is not cut and dried. That was a little bit of group coaching because we did have a book coach in it. So as one of the things is, as long as you're really aware of how you're positioning your mastermind group and being aware of that difference between a mastermind and a group coaching, so that you can make sure that, who's heard of scope creep, right? If you've been you've got contractors, or even if you're a consultant or you have contracts, scope creep. You don't want your group to scope creep away from you. And then, so a project-based group is, sometimes that can have a time limit, right? Hey, we got 6 months to get this project done. Or I have a mastermind group right now that is based around a training that we're taking. And so we're in that group in order to help each other get through and implement the training. And then there's a continuity program. And, I know, some of you may have a side hustle, and if you're a coach or a consultant, a continuity program. So you offer a continuity program. You have your coaching program, and once the 12 weeks or the 6 months is over, and you've gotten them through the program, now you have a continuity program, a continuity you don't call it continuity mastermind, you call it a mastermind for your graduates of your program to continue to support and encourage each other. And then the last one, and then I see some questions in there that I'd love to answer. So let me give you this last one out of the 7, and then we can answer a couple of these questions. The last one, this is the one that chambers should do. I mean, I'm just saying, you guys should have this. It's a facilitated. Fee-based, right? You have a facilitator, or you facilitate the group, and that is your revenue source. It could be a facilitated group of any of the other 6 kinds, right? So you're the facilitator of your referral groups. You're the facilitator of your business growth group. You're the facilitator of your project. I don't know if you guys are running a project-based group, but I recommend you have a facilitated mastermind program, and you emphasize either or both professional growth, which is like career growth, right? Like I'm a mid-level manager and I want to become a higher level manager, or I'm in corporate, or I'm a job seeker. If you want to have it at that level, I'm a job seeker. That's what I mean by professional growth.
Beth just froze for me. Was it? Let me know in the comments if Beth is frozen for you, or maybe it's me. Are you guys hearing me, seeing me? Are you seeing Beth? Are we all frozen? Somebody wrote frozen. She's frozen. She's frozen. So you guys can hear me. Let me see what I can do to get Beth back in here. Let's remove her for a second. Boot her from the studio. All right. Beth will be back here in just two seconds. I want to share with you one of the things I was going to ask Beth about, which is if you get a member to participate in a mastermind group, which is certainly going to be easier than just if you're like trying to sell a mastermind group to a total stranger. That would be really hard. They don't know, like, and trust you. But we're talking about your members. They know, like, and trust you. If your chamber offers up a program or a service, your members have already written you a check. They're going to be open to listening to a pitch for additional value, additional services. So be ready for, like as a chamber, you should be able to sell a mastermind a whole lot easier than some stranger trying to sell your members a mastermind, because they're already investing with your chamber. And then Beth, you're back. What about the fact that if somebody joins a chamber mastermind group, the chances of them renewing their membership, I would think, would go up, because they're getting more value. They're in deeper into the chamber. What do you think?
Yes. So there's several. Let me tease out several pieces of why that works. So anybody who is in sales, and I think this had become something that was widely known or taught in the chamber industry, was that you should not have just one point of contact in a member organization, right? Because if that person leaves, then nobody there feels connected to the chamber. So we always tried to go 3 deep. We always tried to go 3 deep within their organization. Well, that works in reverse. So somebody who belongs to your chamber, if they don't have, and I'll just put it in really simple language, they don't have any friends in the chamber, they're so less likely to stay involved if they feel like, they're not getting any of the other benefits. But if they have 2 or 3 pals, connections, people that they regularly connect to, if they feel like they have some people in your community that, and the best way they can access those people is through your community, they'll stay in your community just to have access to those people. Yeah. And a mastermind will do that more tightly and firmly than so many other things that you can do.
I was going to say that we've learned that people join for the benefits, but they stay for the community. That's why somebody's a member year after year after year, even if they're not taking advantage of a lot of the benefits. That's their family. I mean, it's like quitting the Rotary or quitting your church or something like that. You just don't do those things. Those are your family. That's your identity. And so eventually you have great friends in the chamber, and that's just who you are. You wouldn't quit on them. So.
Yeah. And you think, I'll see them any other time. I mean, I can connect with them any other time. And you guys know, you don't. It's that structure of, it's that structure of the luncheon. It's the structure of, the regular meetings that somebody else, I used to tell people, somebody else is doing all the work to bring everybody together for you. And they're like, yeah, you're right.
So Beth, you saw some questions. Let's get to those. And then I have quite a few questions.
Okay, let's see. Let me go back. Jamie had some really good. Okay, Jamie asked, does a mastermind include accountability? Let me give you my opinion. I have an opinion about accountability. Here's how accountability groups work. All right, everybody, we're going to have an accountability group. Here's the first meeting. What are you going to get done, Frank? What are you going to get done, Beth? What are you going to get done? Great. Next meeting. Frank, what did you get done?
Nothing. I feel bad.
I suck. What did you get done, Beth? I got 1 out of the 5 things I said I would do. I suck too. Next meeting. All right. Well, did you get it done? No. I got this done, this happened. 4 meetings later, nobody shows up because they're like, I don't want to show up and tell them how bad I suck. So that's my opinion. I like encouragement groups where you say, okay, you didn't get that done. How can we break that down? Like, that's a pretty big task. What is a smaller piece of that you can do? Or what did you get done? So accountability, I know it's important to have accountability, but 2020 shows you that all your plans can go to naught And what you need is encouragement and not accountability. But certainly, if you want to promote it and sell it that way, yes. But let me tell you, I don't think that CEOs and executives need accountability. They are already accountable up to their ding dang eyebrows. And I can hear in the back of my head one of the most awesome. I worked for a CEO for a while who, now that I think about it, he did not have a mastermind group, and he fairly or unfairly laid a lot of the burdens of CEOship on me because we had been friends before I went to work with him. And he didn't need an accountability group. He needed peers. He needed somebody who understood the burden. He needed people who understood his problems. He needed people who could solve problems for him. Sales and marketing people maybe need accountability. You know, the independent agents, they maybe need accountability. I will tell you, I don't think that's where the profit is. I don't think that your multi-level marketing or your direct sales people are generally willing to invest that much or enough in something like a mastermind group. And if they're not getting it from their upline, then their upline kind of sucks. I mean, we're being honest here now, you guys. CEOs are the ones who are looking for the support and the encouragement and the problem solving. And that's lovely because they know how to invest in themselves.
Yeah, so you're talking about the larger members that have much larger budgets that invest in professional development and things of that nature. You're talking about like a CEO roundtable or a CEO circle, maybe. Is that it?
Yeah, you could call it a roundtable. You could call it a circle. Somebody asked, is it better to call it a mastermind rather than networking? And from a marketing perspective, because I'm a marketer, you know, for 25 years. Yeah, don't call it a networking group, because back to those CEOs equate networking now with going to mixers and getting swarmed by the salespeople. So mastermind, the word mastermind, I got a ton of ideas as far as names, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time here listing them for you guys. But yeah, come up with a different name rather than networking. I mean, you know in the back of your head it's networking, but
if you do a CEO roundtable, let's just call it CEO roundtable. Mm-hmm. It's truly CEO only, right? You can't they can't substitute in my marketing person is going to sit in for me this week, right?
You guys, if you do this, you have to be strong, and this is where planning it and having a framework and having a structure and a plan matters, because a big part of this is CEO. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, and I know this because I was in the chamber and I know how they were, and I worked, for this CEO. They're lonely, and they're not going to tell you. They don't have peers, or they haven't sought out their peers, or they don't have time to seek out their peers, or they are not afraid, but they are wary of reaching out to other CEOs and telling them, dude, this is bleeping hard and I need to connect with some people. And so the chamber can do that for them and pull them together and pull them out of their loneliness in order to connect with other CEOs, and can do that outreach and make the calls. I mean, I don't know if you might make some calls, to invite people, but a lot of these CEOs aren't going to do it on their own. They're not doing it on their own, which is why they are isolated and they feel like they don't have anyone to talk to. So if you start bringing in marketing people, or, we're just going to open up to business owners. Let me get my air quotes in the frame here. Business owners. Okay, I'm a business owner, but I'm just me. So don't, as much as I would love to come to your CEO roundtable, I'm not the right person to be in your CEO roundtable, because the CEOs need to be able to talk to each other honestly and openly and at a peer-to-peer level. Remember, we talked about the difference between, group coaching and peer-to-peer level. You want to be in a mastermind group where people are on a very, if not the exact same level, but on a very similar level to each other. Otherwise, you start getting resentment. You get one person who's running the whole show. You get somebody who just sits there and soaks it all up and never has anything to contribute, and that will not work.
So I'm thinking here that you'd want to be really strategic about who's in this level of mastermind group. You can have multiple mastermind groups, but the big one, the CEO roundtable one, it's the president or CEO of the hospital. It's the president and CEO of the bank, of the large insurance company, of the large manufacturing facility, things of that nature, where these are people with dozens, if not hundreds of employees with $10 million budgets that the chamber really can't do too much for, other than you could facilitate them seeing other people or being together with other people that have the same problems, and they can confidentially share these things and work them out. I could see that would be very valuable to them, and they'd be willing to write the chamber a pretty good sized check. What, at least 1,000, 5,000? What is there a number, Beth, that you would think that
the going rate? I'll tell you the going rate. So one of the biggest groups out there that does this charges $1,000 a month.
A month, $1,000 a month to be part of the CEO, the chamber's CEO roundtable.
And they meet once a month.
Yeah.
And so
I think chambers should do this. I think I know when I offered my first chairman's circle, which is a little different. The chairman's circle is more about having your logo on everything that the chamber does and getting that publicity that you're a member of the chamber's chairman's circle. You don't get very much else other than publicity and awareness. It's all status. But I had people come out of the woodwork. We sold like 21 of those at $1,000 a piece within a few days. And it was kind of like 21,000. That's pretty helpful. But I'm seeing the CEO roundtable kind of thing as even a lot more money than that.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm checking the questions here real quick too to see what else people have. It is one of the regrets, by the way, that I have in my old chamber that I did not have a CEO round table or CEO group. Part of it was because I was just the membership director, and I believe that it needs well, you have several options. There's several ways you could position this. So there's several options. It kind of depends on you. And actually, before, I want to make sure I absolutely don't forget to say this. There's another reason why you should have another reason why you should have a mastermind group of CEOs in your chamber. But you guys got to stick around for a little bit. It's
I'm gonna write this down so we don't forget.
It's absolutely important. It's almost a number one reason why you should have a chamber CEO group. And if your chamber, let me just give you guys a little hint. If your chamber is not that big, and if you personally are not taken as seriously as you should be, and you know who I'm talking to? Let's just be honest here, you guys. I'm talking to the women who are in their 30s maybe, who are the first time CEO of a chamber and who are not getting taken as seriously as they should. If you are in that group, you need to listen to what I'm going to tell you. So, but I know Frank has some other questions, and I know Yvette had a question.
Let me bring up this question from Yvette. Can you see it on the screen, Beth?
There's a lot of questions.
Is the President's Circle facilitated? So the President's Circle, Chairman's Circle, President, that might be something different. A Chairman's Circle, President's Circle is more of a status thing that they just get their logo, their name on the chamber's emails, the chamber's website, everywhere. But if you're talking about the CEO roundtable, that's different. So Beth, do you want to talk about that?
Yes. So these are the kind of questions that you guys do need to answer for yourselves and be very, very clear on. So this is why this is a decision-making process. It's interesting that you say, what does it offer aside from connecting with similar level professionals? From my perspective, what else do you need? I don't need snacks. I don't need trainings. I don't need stuff like that. I mean, my office situation here is interesting, and we are going to be doing some very heavy work and convoluted things simply to be still in a community of people working together. That's how important being together in a community or in a group, and that is plenty. That is not only plenty, but sometimes that's the main thing.
They say that your network is your net worth, and if you can count the bank president, the hospital president, and 3 or 4 other multi-millionaire small business owners in your community as close personal friends that you're in a mastermind with, that's all you're going to need. Let me write the check.
Yeah, and plus, don't. This is not just for the high level have arrived kind of people. Man, the almost there, the almost theirs. I'd pay extra if I was there to try to get here. So you could have your top, you know, this is only 4 companies of 100 million plus, but I'm thinking the $5 to $10 million companies, those are the ones that are, you know, they're almost invisible, right? I have a friend, a former client / friend who has a $5 million company in little old Clovis, and nobody, well, I don't know if it's still 5 million right now, but nobody knows about it, and nobody knows about her, and nobody knows that she's kind of a big deal CEO. The hospital CEO, the giant insurance company CEO, they have people coming after them all the time. Of course, they're not on their same level, so they kind of have that same problem of not being able to connect with high-level CEOs. But it's that $5 to $10 to $15 million CEO who's kind of invisible. Nobody's knocking down their door to have them join the hospital board. But man, if they could just connect up with 3 or 4 or 10 other $5 to $10 to $15 million level CEOs, that then they can really make something happen, because those are companies, you know, I have a very high level marketing mentor who used to work for Nestle. Like, he was a national brand manager, and he still coaches and consults people, and he says it's like that leap from $1 million to a $5 million company that's so hard, and then, you know, from a $5 million to a $10 or $15 million company. But what would it do for your community if you were helping those $5 million companies leap up? They're still willing to, you know, $1,000 a month, $500 a month to make that next leap with a group of people like them. That don't just limit it to those super tippy top people.
This reminds me of this thing that I've learned in digital marketing is when you get a customer, don't quit selling them stuff. They want other things. You know, they joined for a reason. And if you can, like, let's say if somebody joined for publicity for their business, well, then offer them the website ads, offer them the email blasts, offer them these extra additional add-ons, and you're not nickel and diming them. They want that. They want these opportunities. So if you have a member and you haven't offered them a mastermind group, I think you're leaving probably money on the table. And it's not something that takes a ton of staff time, it sounds like. They run themselves. You find somebody to kind of
have them run themselves. And I've thought of a couple of really, I mean, if you pardon me, I've thought of a couple of clever ways, because you know how it is. You got a group and then you don't show up for one meeting, you come back the next meeting, and like, you know, now it's a shamanic drum circle. You're like, what? How'd that happen? Where did this happen? So I've got some ideas on how to either. We'll go back to, remember that point I was making about, you know, the number one reason. We'll bring that up. You know,
well, we're running actually low on time here, Beth. We're getting down to the last few minutes. So why don't you go ahead and share your thing, or you're starting to help chambers implement these. I mean, I know you've done this for a while, but you've got something new out.
Yes. So let me tell you just very quickly, you guys. I don't want to leave without. It's almost more important to tell you this. I don't want to leave without telling you that if you are new or you're having trouble being taken seriously as the CEO of your chamber or the executive director of your chamber, I know, because I had a board member calling me Bethy until I finally had to take him aside and tell him, dude, I'm like busting my butt here to be taken seriously. Like, you got to stop that. Like, I'm going to start calling you, anyway.
Really?
So I understand that struggle. If you have a CEO group and you're not the little facilitator making it happen, but you too, you are a CEO and you should be in that group as their equal. You should be in that group as their peer. You should not be the secretary. You should not be the facilitator. You should be legit part of that group. And if that is the only dang reason you start a chamber CEO group is to get those people to take you seriously as their peer and as their equal, then it's worth it. Because imagine what else you could do if they took you seriously as a total equal and a total peer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. When you become a CEO of a chamber of commerce, you immediately become elevated to the A-list of the social circuit, and you're a business equal to the hospital CEO, the bank CEO. Those are your peers now. And so, yeah, that's a good point, Beth. It really equalizes things.
Yeah.
All right. So how can people work with you or get more information on this? Because it's complicated. You got to do it right. So what do you do for people?
So you could do this. You guys could just go do this. You could just go try it. You could go start it. I've started not dozens, but a number of mastermind groups myself. I did a lot of trial and error, and you could probably do it too with a lot of trial and error. But I will tell you right now, nobody has time for trial. And if you make error, you know how it is, you guys. If you make an error and your group flops or it just kind of fizzled out, you don't have a lot of second chances. So you can see by all the questions here, it's simple, but there's a lot of little details. There's a lot of decisions that you really should make in advance. And so I stopped doing trial and error after a while and started kind of making myself a framework and a structure. These are the four main areas you need to make decisions. And then here's all the little ticky-tacky detailed decisions you need to make. Like I saw somebody said, how is the meeting conducted? Well, there's 5 ways to do that. There's several ways to structure it. There's ways to keep it from, evolving into, and those are all decisions that you should make in advance. You should lay them out in a plan. And so I created a mastermind group system that is a framework. It's got an outline, and it was originally a 4.5-hour intensive, and actually Frank's gone through it.
I've gone through this thing because I want to do a mastermind for the Chamber Professionals group, an elite kind of level of people that want to go through together. And I'm glad I went through Beth's thing. It was hours and hours and hours, and I learned a ton. But just think of all the time it saved me and all the mistakes I avoided. So thank you, Beth.
You're very welcome. It was absolutely my pleasure. And it was one of those deals where when you start going through all the decisions that you do need to make or you have made, I was like, there's a lot. There's a lot. So I took that 4.5 hours, I've pared it down into a chamber-specific intensive 2.5 hours. I'll take you through my framework and we'll go step by step. I created a plan book, which you'll print out, and it'll be fill in the blanks. Hey, you need to make this decision. Okay, this is my answer to that. Okay, this is a checklist. We're going to do this, this, and this. We're going to do this or this, where by the time we're done, 2.5 hours, I'll go through it really quickly. I mean, it'll be like, here's the 3 ways you could do this. Here's what I recommend for chambers, or this option has these pros and cons. This option has these pros and cons. You make your decisions, you go through. When you're done, 2.5 hours. You have your plan totally laid out. You have your plan book in hand. You know exactly what to do next, how to position it, how to run it. And you could run with that yourself, or you could take that plan and you could hand it off to a staffer and let them implement it. But you've made all the decisions in one go. And even decisions that you don't know you need to make. Because like I've had all kinds of interesting things happen when you put together a group. And so I know how to guide you in, well, what if this happens? Or when this happens, here's how to, head that off at the pass, or here's how to handle that. So it's step by step. And I will do this in a 2.5 hour intensive one-time session, walk you through it, and you will have your plan in hand, ready to go at the end of it.
Let me share the links, Beth. You emailed me a link for today, so I shared that one, and I'll share it on the page.
Yeah.
So there's the information. If you want to reach out to Beth and get signed up for that, is it kind of limited seating type of thing, Beth?
It's not. I'll tell you guys. It's limited presentation, because I'm going to do this, and we'll see how it goes. So what we've got is it's a limited time frame, 2.5 hours. I've got it scheduled for December 9th or December 15th. So I'm only offering 2 more sessions before the end of the year, because this is the perfect thing to launch for the new year. I mean, this is perfect. Here's our new program for 2021. You could even position this as a response to COVID, because a lot of people felt isolated. And my mastermind group, I have a mastermind group that's been meeting weekly since last February, and we kept each other sane through this thing. I mean, we were each other's rock. So it's $197 for this 2.5 hour intensive. You will have the plan in hand, ready to go. There is a VIP upgrade option, and you'll see that when you go to the information page. You'll see what's included there. But you'll have some scripts, some copy and paste, swipe scripts for your emails. You'll have for a landing page. I have a name generator. That's, somebody was asking about the name. I came up with like 300 different words that you could pick one from column A, column B, column C to name your group. Like tons of ideas for that. And then it also includes 2 one-on-one sessions with me, because some of you are going to be able to take this and just be like, I got it, I'm ready to go. You do the 2.5 hours, you got it, you've got the plan. Some of you are going to want to customize it. So we could spend that time either helping you really refine what you want to do. We could spend that time helping you with the marketing. I'll even, I'm actually do SEO. I can help you SEO your landing page, or I could even help you do a promotion video, because I'd love to like, put my.
You've been talking about this for a long time. I know.
Yeah.
You've been wanting chambers to do these mastermind groups. I've known you for 10 years.
So badly.
You've always talked about it.
Yeah.
All right, Beth, we're getting down to the last minute. Somebody wanted to know how to get a hold of your book. What's the title of your book again, and how can people get a hold of it?
The book is Networking on Purpose, and because I am pretty good at SEO, if you just do Beth Bridges networking, it should pop right up in the Google search. Yeah.
Cool. I think I got all my questions answered. Beth, you'll stick around maybe and answer the threads, the comments in the threads in the Facebook group and that sort of stuff. So if anybody has other questions that Beth didn't get to, just go ahead and post them. She's in the group. She always has been since I met her working through the chamber.
Oh, gee, I'm a regional gangster.
Yeah. Hey, any other final thoughts here, Beth, before we cut it?
You guys, look, do this for your chamber, do this for your business community, and do it for yourself. If those 3 things combined together do not make you take action, one of those has got to be right there in your heart. If it's not, I can't imagine that it's not your business community, because you wouldn't be doing this chamber job if you did not love these people and your business and your bottom line, your non-dues revenue. Let's bring some money in and do it for yourself. It is absolutely one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself and that you can do for other people. It is just that important.
Very cool. Well, thanks for coming on, Beth, and sharing all this. And have a Merry Christmas if I don't get to see you face to face.
Yeah, my pleasure. We'll blitz. We'll blitz together.
Yeah, we'll see you on Blitzer. All right,
Yeah.
bye-bye, everybody.